This is a different monster movie, and it's a monster movie this time from another studio, Dai Studios. Their original from 1965, Gamera, the giant monster, the Japanese version. Yeah, this is only 78 minutes long, so let's get started in glorious black and white. I haven't seen this version in a long time. I'm doing it early because I gotta leave early today. This one is a monster movie, all the way through. In the Arctic, so it's not a ripoff of Godzilla. This version looks amazing on DVD because the original dubbed version that I saw on DVD looked terrible, and the picture quality is horrible. No, that doesn't count. This is still a Japanese movie. There's no Brits in this movie, and there's no Aussies or Kiwis or Irish or Scottish people in this movie, so that doesn't count. Because in the English dub, there's American actors in the filler scenes that have nothing to do with Gamera. Got a rash on my head. Hold on. That ought to do it. There's some American actors here, but it's not throughout the whole film. Yeah, they put the subtitles in Japanese, even in the Japanese version, since they don't know what they're saying. Even though in Japan they do speak, some people do speak English there. Not all the movies are going to be doing it will be Japanese. Some of them could be American, but they have to have a mostly American cast or Canadian. No, no Brits. I need a break from them for a while because most of the movies in 2025 have Brits in them. Superman, The Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Mission Impossible. They're all gonna be. They're all gonna be Bentified. Not Captain America, but most of the movies are, unfortunately. I was gonna do this later, but I'm like, I got time now. I might as well do it. This Gamera's gonna be 60 years old this year, so I wanted to do at least two of his films because I have the original and then Guardian of the Universe. I'm gonna do not tomorrow, but Saturday, since Saturday's a long day. And Guardian of the Universe is how long? 100 minutes. Yeah, so this one's an hour and 40, so it's way longer than this version. Boom. Because in the Godzilla movies, most of the American scenes were cut out of the Japanese version. because there was more friction between them back in the 50s and 60s. By the mid 60s, no, we were already friends with Japan. Just a classic too. It's not as classic as Godzilla, but I didn't want to see the original Godzilla yet. It's way too depressing. I love it. It's a classic, but I don't want to see anything depressing this month. I'll wait till May to do the original Godzilla. Gamera's not as depressing as the original Godzilla. Hey, there you go. Put the volume up. Here comes Gamera. 5 minutes into the movie. See, we don't have to wait an hour. Gamera the giant monster, and his roar is different than Godzilla. It's a giant turtle, like Bowser, that breathes fire. Again, like Bowser. Here come the opening credits. These are subtitled, unlike in the H Man. They're subtitled so that you know what they translate it, because this is a Shout Factory release. They usually put the subtitles. The cast: Eiji Funakoshi, Michiko Matsugata. I don't know any of these actors because I didn't grow up with Gamera as a kid. I saw the original Godzilla as a kid. A lot of people are fascinated with Japanese culture. I am. Noriaki Yuasa directed this movie. Sensei. Because these are the only kind of movies I like to see that are foreign. Because I'm used to Asian culture, so it doesn't bother me as much. When it's another country, like Spain or something, then I'm just checked out. That's why I hated the Spanish version of of Dracula. I didn't care for it. It was so boring. It looked great, but it's just the acting is so hammy and just dull. It didn't do it for me. I have a better version that I can see. Gamera. There's some English in the movie, but again, there's no Bintos in the movie, so this doesn't break the rules. If the whole movie they have an accent, then it's a problem. Yeah, because Eskimos are not Japanese. They're more South Pacific Islanders. Mm-hmm. Because yesterday I saw a bunch of American films. I saw Beethoven Second. I hadn't seen that movie in years, so I'm doing this to save my sanity because last year I heard so many accents on Disney Plus, on Max, on Paramount Plus, on Netflix. Yeah, I'm just tired of it. And no, this is not a theme month either. Gamera looks great. This suit from over 50 years ago looks great. Well, this year is 60 years old. I do podcasts because I can. I'm never going to get canceled. And Josh, never say that slavery is going to come back. That is never going to happen. If you're an American citizen, you're not going anywhere. Okay? Stop worrying so much about a freaking the presidency. That's not going to be affect me in any way this year. I still have my freedom. I'm going to do any podcast I want and nobody can stop me. Got it? The only thing that could stop me is if my power goes out. And that's not happening. Because it's not going to snow today or rain. So I'm good. Okay? Just remember that. Mr. Worry Wart, I got to be afraid of everything. I'm not afraid of anything here on YouTube. Tomorrow I'm going to probably just review something instead of do a podcast. Because I ain't afraid of nothing. After getting COVID a few years ago and then getting my tooth extracted, yeah, I went through way more than you did. Okay? Or anybody. Unless you had a death in the family, that's the only thing worse than a tooth extraction and getting COVID. This is a classic, though, for in its own right. I can see why this is, this got a special edition. Some films don't. Some films don't even get a physical release. This did. A good physical release. That's an anamorphic widescreen. This doesn't count because there's no Brits in this movie. I promise you there are no Brits. Because this is an American and Japanese collaboration. Both the Japanese version and the American dub. They don't have like British actors dubbing over the actors. That would have been a problem. Because technically we all have accents, but some accents I can't understand. That's just the way it is. That's cool. Plus, Gamera's explanation is a lot faster than Godzilla. Because they do it in the first 15 minutes. They don't have to waste an hour to get for setup. Dai Studios knew they didn't want to waste people's time, so they're like, let's just get to the explanation quick. Because in the original Godzilla, you don't see him for a while, for like almost 30 minutes. I love the original, but like I said, you see the fisherman getting blown up, and they don't show him. This one, they didn't have that luxury, so they're like, we have 78 minutes. Let's get to the explanation quick. He's basically the Dr. Yamane of this movie, like the original Godzilla, and he has a young daughter, just like Emiko in the original Godzilla. But it's a different movie. It's not the same movie. 60-meter tall turtle. Gamera revived by an A-bomb. The Soviet Union. You mean Russia? China, of course, because you know what happened there. Mm-hmm. A scammer can fly. See? Like a UFO. No, it's a giant turtle shell. And these effects for the time, they look fine. They really do, because this was like a few years after the H-Man. Oh. No, it's not a flying saucer. It just looks like one. This is a classic. A lot of these kaiju films are, because they were products of their time and they still hold up. A lot of them do. Pan American. I decided to do this early because the movie's only 78 minutes long, and I can't leave until I get my headphones. My sister accidentally took my headphones last night because she has headphones that look just like mine. We're 16 minutes in, and they already showed the monster and have the explanation of how Gamera woke up from his slumber. Kyoko was her name, yeah. My goddess of good luck. That's a really nice line. That's a. I gotta use that line. Hokkaido. Yeah. This is the only Gamera movie in black and white as well, because all the films after this were in color. Because by the '60s, most monster movies were in color. Yeah, Toshio's the main kid in this movie. Third transfer. Wow. She's cute. Yeah, I wasn't obsessed with turtles until the '80s when Ninja Turtles came out. I didn't read the comics because again, the comics weren't really for kids when they came out. But I saw the cartoon in the '90s film. Because turtles could live hundreds of years, unlike humans. Hmm. We can't live in seclusion. We all did 5 years ago. Your sister's much older than him. Because a lot of people think that just watching anime in Japanese is the only way, other way. No, there's also a lot of old kaiju films that you might have missed or tokusatsu shows. Anime is easily accessible now because all the streaming services that they're on. But with all these old black and white Japanese movies and shows, it's hard to find them sometimes. Mm. There's a lighthouse like the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. There he is. I'm sorry I did this so early. I have to get this over with. Mm-hmm. Look at those eyes. There he is. Yeah, because unlike the original Godzilla, not as many people die in this one. Take that, Lighthouse. Yeah, plus Gamera's arms are bigger than Godzilla's. Yep, he saved them. Yes, Tuss also. Like a like a saber-tooth tiger or a warthog. Because unlike Ultra Q, this new movie knows what it is. Mr. Hidaka. Yeah, Hidaka. I thought it was Hideki. Yamamoto. So that listening to the radio, nobody does that anymore. Pee Wee. Yeah, we're 25 minutes in now. Hmm. He couldn't have because the turtle was in his glass, like before, we saw it after Gamera started waking up. Plus, this movie's much faster paced than a lot of the later sequels, where you don't see Gamera, you barely see him in the movie, like Barugon or Viras. It takes way too long to get going with the other sequels. That's why they're longer. This one's short and sweet. Even if nobody watches this podcast, I'm still doing it. I'm doing this for me because I have to kill some time. Yeah. This director wasn't as acclaimed as Ishiro Honda, but he still did a good job with this movie. At least there's only one kid in this movie and not a string of them. Because for some reason, there's a lot of Kennies in these movies after the second one. They put a bunch of kids, even some white kids, with the Japanese kids. And I'm like, why? This movie, when did this franchise become about kids? It's about a giant monster fighting other giant monsters after the original. The nuclear heat of an A-bomb. Yep, I know. Here come the tanks. Mm-hmm. In the H-Man, they didn't use tanks because, again, the H-Man was not a big character. It was a blob, so they couldn't use conventional weapons against it. Kill it without artillery? Yeah, that usually doesn't work. They don't have an oxygen destroyer in this movie. There he is again. Yeah, just like in Godzilla, the electrical towers. There's some nods to the Godzilla here, but it's not a remake of it. It does its own thing. He comes out of ice instead of out of the water. Take that, electricity. The most recent Gamera thing was on Netflix. It was called Gamera Rebirth, but I didn't see it. I think it was like an anime or something. Excuse me. Yep, he's ripping that thing apart. The nuclear power plant. We're 30 minutes in and we already saw the destruction. See, you don't have to wait an hour, guys. In these recent monster movies, sometimes they just wait way too long to get to the monster action. Look at the 2014 Godzilla. It takes way too long because Garrett Edwards never heard of good pacing. We don't want to wait an hour. That would be like if Captain America Brave New World, he doesn't get in the costume until an hour into the movie. No, we don't need to wait that long. We know what he looks like. Look, he could absorb fire. Anyway, yeah, back to the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, conventional weapons usually don't work on these giant monsters, whether they're from the Godzilla franchise or Gamera or anything else. And there's a scientist like Dr. Serizawa, except he's much older. Glasses instead of an eye patch. It's a little different. It's not a remake, though. Plus, Godzilla didn't save a kid in the original film. A lot of kids and adults died in that. Mm-hmm. Here come the planes. Yep, absorb that flame. I don't know why they're so shocked. Mm-hmm. The kid doesn't want him to shot. Nuclear missiles are not going to kill it. Causing more destruction, we know. They wanted to do that at the end of Avengers, drop a nuke on the city. Yeah, they try to freeze him. So, hmm. Freezing all forms of flora and fauna. Hmm. The freeze bombs, yeah. They're only effective for 10 minutes. I'm very happy I'm doing this, even though I'm doing it early, because I got other films to see this month. That's right. Go up that mountain, camera. Climb. That's a cool effect of him, climbing the mountain on all fours. Godzilla just walks with 2 feet, like humans. That's all I heard on New Year's Day. A lot of fireworks. Thankfully, today there won't be any because kids are back in school. The holidays are over. Winter's still around, but the next holiday is in 2 weeks. Mm, yeah, 3 weeks. Almost 2.5 weeks. Because the next one is on January 20th. Then after that is the Chinese New Year. Spos. Let's move out. Autobots, roll out. Because I only have the other Gamera movies dubbed, and I don't want to see them dubbed. Not this time. I could wait till May. By then, I'll probably have the box set. Yosh. Detonate. No, Gamera, no. Doesn't kill him. Turtles unable to right themselves up. You think if this was a short film, it'd be over, but it's not. We still got another 30 something minutes to go. He's going back in his shell. They don't know that he can fly. Yeah, he's gonna get the last laugh on you people. You people are so dumb. Ha 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 ha, we beat him. Yet he can fly. Forgot about that one. Hey Spidey, you like this better than Godzilla? No. Godzilla's still my favorite. But I do like this better than some of the recent monster movies we've been getting. Only because, better casting and it knows what it is and it's much shorter. The original Godzilla is still king. And, Godzilla versus Mothra. Those are hard to beat. Plus, there's less Gamera movies than Godzilla. But this one is one of the better films in the franchise. This and the 90s films. Because by this time, the Godzilla franchise was starting to lose steam in the 60s. Is this better than Godzilla's Revenge? Yeah, definitely. That movie is garbage. Even the Japanese version sucks. Because they use stock footage. In this movie, no, there's all the footage with Gamera is real. It's original. It's not stolen from another movie. Whoopsie. Because the pacing of this is way faster than like Godzilla 2014 or even last year's Godzilla X Kong. It takes forever to Godzilla and Kong to fight together. Pretty much at the very end, and we have to spend time with boring human characters. Here, it's a balance. While these human characters are not compelling and complex, they're still fine. They don't slow the movie down. Like in Godzilla X Kong, you have Rebecca Kaufman Medicine who does nothing. Then you got Dan Stevens thinking he's cool. And then you have all these side characters. I'm like, yeah, we want to see the monsters, guys. We're not there to see people talking. Not now. You know, we pay for something that we want to see, which is the monsters fighting each other. Or destroying buildings or something. Not people talking about it. We're 43 minutes in and we still already seen Gamera destroy electrical tower and the power plant and, you know, fly. Hey, that's better than waiting an hour to see Godzilla in the 2014 movie. And I don't even hate that movie. It's just that it takes a long time. He's overly fond of turtles, yeah. Plus, Gamera doesn't have any kaiju friends like Godzilla did, like Rodan or Mothra or Anguirus. Good morning, heterosexual guy. I'm like Barugan. This movie doesn't lie to the audience. Yeah, and it doesn't take for an hour for Gamera to show up in the movie. In that movie, he shows up in the beginning and then disappears until he has to fight Baragon or Barugan. It just takes way too long, you know. It's a down. This was such a hit in Japan that when they did a greenlight a sequel, it was like the very next year. Studios need to know that you need to take time to do a sequel, not rush it out in a year. These studios just like to rush everything. At least this movie is shorter than Creature from the Haunted Sea. Yeah, that movie is garbage. I hate that movie. It's the worst black and white movie I've ever seen. And the creature looks terrible. This movie, they have a budget. A modest one, but they still have one. There's another kid, but he's not a main character. He's just a cameo. She's very cute. The score here is not as memorable as Godzilla. I'll say that. You don't have the dun 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 dun. You don't have anything like that for Gamera. The beginning music was okay, but it's not as iconic. Yep, that scene was nice and short. Hmm. But all that destruction. Yeah, it's not as dark as the original Godzilla, mainly because he's mostly destroyed things that were in his way than killing people, innocent victims. That doesn't happen until the third act. It consumes petroleum. Hmm. We're 47 minutes in. The destruction scene is not like that in Man of Steel. Oh no, it's not gratuitous. There is like they have to show you how destructive these characters are. I'm like, I don't need that for Superman Legacy. If you're gonna blow up a city, at least have a reason for it. Don't just do it at the end and make it look, you know, like September 11th. They just look way too depressing, and it wasn't hopeful at all. And this movie doesn't have annoying characters like in the later Gamera movies. Not the 90s films. I'm saying like Barugan all the way to Super Monster. Oh, that's horrible. I saw the Japanese version last year on streaming. I'm like, it didn't get better. Except for the catchy song in the beginning. That's one of the only good things in the movie. Because Gamera does nothing in that movie. It's just stock footage. This one at least has its own footage. Flooding. A Greek oil tanker. Tokyo Bay. The Z Plan. Oshima Island. Yeah. This is the third act of the movie already. We got here so fast. See? This movie has a relentless pace compared to other monster movies. They are amazing, Spidey, because when they do it right, they're awesome and they don't have to be 2.5 hours. If there's one thing Japan is better than the America when it comes to some films and shows, pacing. Good pacing. We don't want to wait an hour for something to happen. For some reason, American filmmakers and even British filmmakers, they think that they have to make a movie long to be epic. No, just make it entertaining. Stop padding out the running time with unnecessary musical numbers, fillers, subplots, and exposition heavy dumps in our face. Yeah, here we go. Instead of a boat scene like the original Godzilla, you have a scene with some young people dancing. You hear that? What's camera? Here we go. Cities to stomping scenes, right? Coming right at you. You didn't listen. So that club is toast. But we don't care about these people. That's the thing. Yep, we gotta stomp on the. They didn't listen and they have to pay the price. This is good. The scene in the third act is definitely worth it. New Tokyo, yeah. Not today. Yep, burn. You know I always root for the monsters, even when the monsters are bad. That's what I do. Who saw Godzilla and Kong for the freaking people? Not me. Monsters. That's why people see these movies in the theater. No one saw Planet of the Apes because it was too long. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is too long. Why do you need 2.5 hours to tell a story that could be done in an hour and 50 minutes? Huh? That's definitely a nod to the original Godzilla, but it's not as tragic because that one is dead serious. There's no comedy at all, mostly. Take that. Even the original Mothra, the reason she causes destruction is because the fairies are taken away from her. Not because she's bad. Obliterated. So she was like just shocked. Yep, those people got what they deserve again because they didn't evacuate. They should have evacuated the city. Especially those young people that are like, I'm gonna dance until I die, and yeah, that came a lot sooner than they thought. I had to evacuate this house once when there was a hurricane headed our way, a tropical storm. We're almost done. It's fast. It's amazing how fast this went. Also, the Russians and the Americans can speak Japanese too. Well, they had to speak Japanese in this version because this is the Japanese version. Common ground and all that. If we all spoke the same language, people would be able to communicate instead of attacking each other. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's not that hard. Communication is the key to any relationship between any people. That's what makes us a society and not an anarchy. We have to discuss our problems, not run away from them and hide in a corner. That's not what I do. This is a new year, baby. Excuse me. 58 minutes in. Yep, Gamera standing tall. Again, if people wouldn't stop using nukes, these monsters wouldn't appear. They're basically an allegory for the destruction of H bombs and A bombs. $59 minutes in. That's a cool shot of Gamera in the background. Mm-hmm. And now we're an hour in. So Guardian of the Universe is a lot longer than this version because there's another monster in it. There's three Gaios in that movie, and it's got a bigger budget and it's got a bigger cast and bigger everything. That's why it's the best one, in my opinion. I've seen all the movies, and I'm like, that's the best Gamera movie. It was 30 years after the original Gamera, and it was worth the wait. I was 10 when it came out in Japan. I didn't see it until I was an adult, but I'm like, this is awesome. This is on par with the original Godzilla and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Godzilla versus Mothra, a lot of the classic kaiju films. The best Gamera movie, this is the second best Gamera movie, I would say. You have the Guardian of the Universe, and then this one for the time that it was made. Because I do like Attack of Legion and Revenge of Iris. I just think that they're a little bit on the nose, especially Legion. I think that one had some dialogue that made me cringe for some reason. I'm like, yeah, we get it, guys. I couldn't see these movies when I was a kid subtitled because I didn't like reading subtitles as a kid. When I saw Star Wars, I'm like, oh, there's subtitles in these movies. Mainly in A New Hope and in Return of the Jedi. Now I'm used to it because they put subtitles in American shows and movies now. I mean, Exo Kitty has subtitled scenes for some reason. Like, oh, because they're in South Korea, they have to speak in Korean, like half the dialogue, in case you didn't get it, that it's international. Lie down now. The movie's almost over, so. Oh, you see the screen like this. I don't like reading subtitles, especially in the theater. At home, I could do it if I want to. In the theater, I don't. I don't want to read what's going on. In the theater, I get lazy. I don't want to read subtitles. Water shot. It's already 10 o'clock, so I gotta get going after this. Kawasaki. Hmm. Normally, I would go for the dub version of a show or movie over reading the subtitles. I'm only doing this as a podcast, so it's one and done. Volcano. Volcano. This is still a good film, even after all these years. Again, this was before my time. This came out in Japan when my parents were kids, so I was not even born yet until like about 20 years later when the Gamera franchise was on ice until 1995. Because the last movie was in 1980 and it was horrible. Super Monster is one of the worst kaiju films I've ever seen. Not because of the acting, because it's got stock footage. A lot of stock footage. That's not acceptable for any film. A little stock footage is fine, but a lot of it hurts the film entirely. Super Monsters one is the worst. Yeah, it's the worst one, easily. Barugan was just boring and it needed more Gamera in it. But that one had no excuses. At least Barugan, the fight at the end is worth watching. But with Super Monster, all the fights you've seen them in the other films. It's a highlight reel. So terrible. The flames. This one is 78 minutes. It's not an hour and 26 like uh, what I did yesterday. The H Man was about an hour and 26 minutes because it was the Japanese version, not the dub version. What if Kamiko Glenn voiced Amy in Sonic 4? That would be fine, but I would want a younger actress. She did the Spider Verse movies, but Amy Rose does not need to be voiced by an Asian because none of the voices are Asian. Not Knuckles, not Tails, not even Sonic himself. The only one that kind of is Keanu Reeves because he's part Hawaiian, which most Hawaiian people are like close to Asian. But I would prefer like an Eva Carlton or a Caitlin Deaver or something like that to voice Amy Rose. We know she's coming. We saw her at the end of Sonic 3. It's an awesome scene because you got the mech Sonics surrounding him, and then she just comes out with her hammer, and it's so awesome. I got a big reaction in the theater. She had a hoodie like a Jedi. It was a cool intro, and we finally get a girl Sonic character in this universe. I do like Kamiko Glenn, but like I said, we'll see who's gonna voice her. By next year, they have to cast her. Because the year that this movie was made and the execution is a lot better than a lot of the sequels. Let me tell you, because Barugan is a huge step down from this. Because they put more. There was no kids in it, but it's just dull, man. When Gamera's not on screen and Barugan is not on screen, it's just a bunch of people looking for opals in a mine, and I'm like, yeah, this is not interesting. It's just kind of dull. And as the first sequel in the franchise, it was worse than Godzilla Raids Again. That at least had Godzilla and Anguirus in it. This was fun to rewatch. I hadn't seen this movie in years. That's why I'm rewatching these. Because some of these films I haven't watched in a long time. And I'm never donating this because anything Japanese that's in a good set, I'm not going to donate it, sell it, or give it to anybody. This is a keeper. Something I have a double of, I can donate because I don't need doubles or triples of like Indiana Jones or Star Wars or whatever. I'm only keeping the original Star Wars in the VHS tapes and the DVDs and Blu-rays until I can get a better version of the DVDs. Yeah, Barugan is just dull. I saw it years ago on YouTube, and I'm like, where's Gamera? This is supposed to be Gamera versus his first monster opponent, and it doesn't happen until like halfway through the movie. I don't want to wait that long. At least Giles, he fights Giles not an hour into the movie, but most of the film. And Giles is a worthy opponent. And then you have Guiron and Jiger and Zigra and these others. Yeah, they're a mixed variety, but at least they fight. Skid's face is just golden. That's a good shot of him in the rain. That's not from the original Godzilla. That there's a little bit of stock footage of the volcano, but that's it. It's in the background. It's not a huge chunk of the movie. They probably couldn't get footage of a real volcano, so they just used archive footage. This rain scene is good because it's not in the original Godzilla. There's no rain in that movie. I think most of the movie there's only one scene with rain, but Godzilla's not even in it. They don't show it. They just show his destruction. But there's no scenes of him walking in the rain like in the remake from '98 or the 2014 movie. That really is a cool looking set, it's like a map painting. See, they used what little money they had to make this movie work. That's why this became a series. Some films did not get a series, like Gappa the Triphibian monster. That never got a sequel. It was a one and done, or the Death Kappa, which I thought was disappointing last year, because I saw the dub version, but I'm like, the Kappa doesn't do anything until the third act of the movie. Like it's a little squat Kappa that kills a few people and then it's just dancing and then disappears until the third act. That's not the movie I wanted, guys. It's called Death Kappa and it barely kills anybody or does anything. Gamera's way better than the Death Kappa. I'll eventually see the Japanese version in May, but it's not going to be much of a difference. I'm coming. Instead of killing him, they send him away. Yep, right in a dome. See you in the next movie, Gamera. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. See, they launch him into a rocket in space. Hey, it's original. It's not stealing from the original Godzilla. And that is, they kill him with the oxygen destroyer. They didn't have that here, so it works for the time. This wouldn't work in a monster movie today because they'd be like, oh, they're gonna send it into a rocket and not kill him. No, I think it works. People of all nations, the scientists of the world completed the interplanetary Z-Plan rocket. Yeah, that was cool of them. It's stronger than Death Kappa, yeah. They, yeah, they send it to Mars. See, not as tragic as the original Godzilla, which the reason why that movie works is because it's so dramatic and serious. See, all nations should get along, but some people it's harder to do that than others. I'll become a scientist like you and go and visit him one day. Well, he'll be back, and I would love to see Gamera in the next Godzilla movie. I know Daiei Studios is a different company, but still, crossovers happen all the time. I mean, they put Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine, and he's not a Fox character. He was a New Line Cinema character that they put in there, and that was the original Gamera from 1965. Still holds up, and it's not somber. So, because I didn't want to see anything somber this month. It's a long month, and it's a good movie. If you've never seen it, it's on streaming, so you can find it. It's not as hard to find now as it was like 20 years ago. But it's still a good movie, and I would recommend you guys watching it. After so many years, it's good to watch a nice, short monster movie that doesn't overstay its welcome. And the picture quality of this still looks amazing. You don't need a 4K of this. It looks great on DVD. So that was Gamera the Giant Monster. Thanks for watching in the chat. Spidey mainly, because and heterosexual guy. Acknowledge me, and my next podcast will be in about 2 days. See you then.